The first drop hissed against Sybil's suit. She flinched, scanning the sky. Rain? Steve muttered, tilting his head back. Finally, something normal. But the droplets struck the rocks around them with sharp, sizzling pops. White smoke curled up from the ground where the rain landed. Sybil's voice tightened. That's not normal. By the time realization sank in, the downpour thickened into sheets of burning water. Their suits, fireproof, airtight, space-proof, resisted, but the acidic sting showed up on their HUDs as warnings. Red alerts scrolled across Steve's visor. Surface integrity at 98%, 97%, ... cave. Sybil shouted, pointing toward a dark opening carved into the cliff face. They sprinted, boots skidding across the slick, corroding stone, and dove into the shadows, just as the storm intensified. The cave swallowed them, the acidic roar muffled to a distant hiss. Inside, silence pressed in, broken only by the hiss of their own breath. Steve leaned against the wall, catching himself. Well, that was fun. Sybil shot him a glare. One more storm like that and our suits won't hold. They stripped off their helmets but kept the suits sealed. The cave air was heavy, but safe enough for now. The acid rain hammered outside, a relentless drumming that lasted long into the night. Exhaustion pulled them down, and against the cold stone they slept. When Sybil opened her eyes, a glow filled the cave. For a heartbeat she thought the sun had risen inside. Then she saw a pool in the center of the cavern, shimmering in impossible colors. Emerald, crimson, gold, the water pulsed as though alive, casting rippling hues across the cave walls. "Steve," she whispered, tugging at his shoulder. He groaned awake, then blinked at the sight. What in? He was on his feet instantly. "Don't touch it." Sybil had already stepped closer, her eyes wide with wonder. "It's beautiful, like melted gemstones." He grabbed her wrist before she could kneel. "Sybil, the readings are off the charts. That's pure acid. It'll eat through even your suit." The spell broke. She stepped back reluctantly, her expression sobering. Even beauty here is deadly. When they emerged from the cave, dawn had reshaped the world again. Steve froze. Wait, weren't we on ground level? The landmass had grown overnight. What had been a cave mouth at their shoulders was now perched high on a newly formed hill. The planet had shifted again, raising the ground like a living thing. Sybil exhaled sharply. "Dalol doesn't sleep." "Then neither do we," Steve muttered. He pointed upward. "Climb. Higher ground, better comes." They scaled the unstable slope, boots crunching over freshly formed rock, until they reached the summit. Steve tapped his wrist unit. "Control, this is Team Delta. Do you copy?" "Static, then Delta, we read you." "Coordinates locked?" "Dispatching lander." Relief flooded them both. Sybil allowed herself a small smile. "Looks like we're going home." From their vantage point, they watched the disc-shaped lander cut through the clouds, descending gracefully toward the shoreline. It touched down on the sand, its legs sinking slightly into the wet ground dot. But then Sybil noticed the horizon. Steve, the ocean. The murky sea was rising, swelling as if pulled upward by some unseen force. Water surged against the shore, climbing steadily toward the lander. "Move!" Steve shouted. They scrambled down the slope, rocks sliding under their boots. the roar of rushing water chasing them. The lander's legs were already knee-deep when they reached it. Sebel vaulted onto the ramp, Steve shoving her forward, before hauling himself up after her. The hatch sealed. Engines roared. The lander lifted just as the sea surged higher, swallowing the beach hole. Inside, both of them sat gasping, helmets fogged, adrenaline pounding. They didn't speak until the lander docked with their ship in orbit. Back at the space station, General Rise's face filled the debriefing room. He was all smiles at first. Excellent work. The resources on Dalol are beyond imagination. That ocean alone. Then his tone shifted, sharp and cutting. But you abandoned your post. 48 hours, and you lasted barely one. Where are the samples? Where is the data? You risked a lander for nothing. Sebel stiffened. With respect, sir, the planet is unstable. We couldn't risk a second lander. The terrain changes overnight. Acid rain corrodes everything. It's unpredictable. Incompetence is what I hear. Rise slammed his hand on the console. If you can't handle one planet, I'll send Team A. They'll do the job properly. Steve's jaw tightened, but he held back. Rise leaned in, his gaze cold. Rest up. You leave in 24 hours for your next mission. Dismissed, they exchanged a look in the quarter equal parts frustration, fear, and determination. Sebel finally spoke. Dalol wasn't just a planet. It was a warning. Steve nodded grimly, and nobody up there listened.